All right. So, what is the most famous church split of all time?
Oh, wow. Famous church split of all time. All right. So,
I think I know the answer.
okay. All right. So, I've got my answers. You want me to give mine first? You want to give
I want to
yours?
guess.
All right. Guess. Go ahead.
Luther?
Yep. Martin Luther.
Yes.
100%.
Okay.
100%. Now, there was a split in the 11th century between what now is known as the Roman Catholic Church and the Greek Orthodox Church.
Okay.
So what they call the Eastern and the Western Church. So the Eastern and Western Church had all been just one church, and then in the 11th century there was a split there.
Okay.
And it's often referred to as like the Great Schism of the Church, and so that was like the first big schism. But yeah, absolutely.
And then Luther came along,
But
and he
then
was like, "Hold my chalice."
Pretty much. And so, like what he led in the 1500s through the Protestant Reformation just completely changed everything. I mean, it splintered the church.
Okay.
And so some people will look at Martin Luther as the great champion, right? Who was able to kind of free people from what they would perceive as the Catholic Church going awry, and bring some reformation, or I say reformation. That was Luther's hope, to reform the church, not to split it into a bajillion pieces. Unfortunately, that's kind of what happened. And then some people look at Luther as like the great enemy, because of what he stood up for. It led to the fact that the church splintered all over the place. And when I say splintered, what I mean is, all the denominations we were just talking about, and all these non-denominational churches now, we all exist because of the Protestant Reformation that, most people ascribe back to when he nailed the 95 Thesis right on that church door in 1517.
He did this pre-internet.
This is very true.
It's pretty incredible.
It is pretty incredible. And what's actually crazy is so Luther took the thesis, nailed it onto that church door there in Wittenberg in Germany. And so he does that. And that was kind of it. 95 Theses. These are my issues with the Catholic Church. Nail it to the church door, walk away, kind of let that, and it probably could have remained pretty localized, but the way the story goes is students actually got a hold of it. And then the next thing you know, it began to be reproduced, and they're being handed out all over the place.
Wow.
And
plagiarism.
And it started like wildfire. Well, no, not plagiarism. They were like
copyright infringement.
They were like, no,
what is this called back then?
They're like, here's Luther's statements. This is incredible. And so, Luther was bemoaning the fact that, that within the Catholic Church in that day and time, you had individuals that were, demanding, prices for indulgences. Basically you were having to pay to be forgiven, right? And so he was having issues with the authority of the Pope and those kind of things. And so, by far, that has to be the most famous splitting of the church.